Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Flying Pig United. Me and Griffo are here to discuss the latest updates in terms of the takeover and a tiny bit of transfers. How are you doing today, Griffo?
I'm good. I'm good. All things considered, I'm sure we won't really be talking about what happened yesterday, but today's a new day. Looking forward to this next hour here on the Flying Pig. Hope everyone else is good in the chat as well.
Good to see some people in the chat already. Devil's Rising in the chat, Aiden in the chat as well, TJ, FJT in the chat as well. Carlos too also in the chat. So good to see you all and everybody else who's already commented already. Avenger is here in the chat as always. Good to see you, Avenger. So we've heard the latest, haven't we, recently with the takeover? There was a deadline, what Sheikh Jassim did recently have, that he did give till Friday, but then I said in a kind of way we needed to. I felt hideous here. I said in a kind of way the worst thing that Sheikh Jassim could have said was, I kind of retract on that Friday deadline, because then he said, I'm still here, I'll still leave him a bid, but I'm not bidding anymore. So it kind of let the Glazers feel like, well, if it's still here, then might as well extend it. I don't know what your thoughts on that is, Griffo.
Yeah, I'm getting sort of fed up with the word deadline because there seems to be a deadline every 2 weeks, and it's not the actual deadline. There's another deadline, then there's another deadline after that. It finally, touchwood, seems like we are coming to the end of this. Hopefully, that's not a jinx at all. Yeah, it's just been a mess, really. I don't think any of us, knowing we've all seen how the Glazers have treated United, I don't think any of us are expecting the smoothest of takeovers, but I think we're all hoping it was going to be a bit better than it actually is. So yeah, it's just been a mess, but hopefully we can finally, whoever it is, I'm sure most people's preference is Qatar, no, mine is as well. But I just hope that there is a conclusion because it's starting to affect the transfer window. The transfer window opens soon, so I think we have to get it done soon. And of course, the rumors are that it's happening next week. I've seen those rumors before, so hopefully these are finally true.
How are you doing,
Yeah,
Edda?
yeah. Obviously like a lot of Man United fans still taking in that Pep and Man City have done that treble. It's like it's painful. I feel like just numb. But yeah, I'm doing okay. Besides that, so yeah, thanks for hosting and getting us on to Flying Pigs channel. Hopefully Joe's doing all right. Best wishes to him and his family. I hope they're holding up. But yeah, coming to the question at hand, these deadlines. Yeah, like Griffith was saying, it's just it's stopping the transfer window, and I'm worried because we need the structure to be sorted out for real signings. We need to listen to the scouting network properly, and not have people like Murto and Fletcher, like just messing about, and getting these players that I don't think will suit the system, such as like Mount and Rabiot, people like that. But yeah, I just wish with the whole with the whole bidding, why couldn't they just get into an auctioneer room and just do it like that? Just have it all in one go, televise it, give everyone the little bidding batch, say, oh, I got 1 billion there, I got 2 billion there, I got 3 billion for 4 billion. But, just do it. After an hour, let's see who's really got the cash. I was fed up, man. I was waiting for it. And they should have done it. They should have, finished it after the FA Cup final. That's what I heard was going to happen. But we're still, waiting. Anyway, I want the Qataris to take over because we know they've got money. They were hosting the World Cup, and we've seen how much they invested in the World Cup. They invested the most out of any hosting country. So I just want to see the Qatari bid come in. That's what I got to say on that.
Yeah, we've got to hope that for sure. And like, it just feels like for me, it's got to the point where it's just getting deflating. Like, we know that the takeover has been going on for far too long. It's affected January's transfer window because we didn't really need that. And I think that squad depth really did play that part when it came to the Europa League loss and when it did come to the FA Cup and the league, is that we could have got them more points if we did have the depth there in the strike role. If we did have that a bit of if we had that Casemiro backup, we could have really have done with that. And I just think for me is, as I said, there is a reason why there was bidding low for months on end. Both Ratcliffe and Sheikh Jassim. There's a reason why both of them are bidded so low. I know people are saying, well, this is how much is Man United's worth, this, and this. We realistically cannot take the Glazers' word of how much Manchester United really worth after everything they've done at Manchester United, surely, Edda?
Yeah, it's like I'm not sure how to answer that one because I'm just so fed up with the Glazers because we know they're like their little tricky ways. Like I sense that they are going to stay and they're going to just take money for shares from Sir Jim and the structure is going to stay the same. Because like obviously when we heard they were potentially selling, was Avram Glazer was saying we're looking at new strategies. He didn't outright say we're going to sell. So for me, that's like one of them sneaky terms where it's like you kind of want to tease that you're gonna sell, but then you want all these bidders to come in. Like you were saying, you want people to come in and make a bidding battle, so it just keeps going up and up and up and up. And yeah, it's Sir Jim versus Qatar. So in terms of business, you could say these guys are geniuses. Obviously we're football fans. We don't like the business side. I want to be talking about the football. I want to be talking about what transfers we're going to be nailed on to get. But with all these this paradigm of business, all these little different clauses, these different terms, it's driving me mad. So yeah, I'm just I don't know if I answered your question, but I'm just I'm just fed up.
I know, it just says a lot, doesn't it, of how we are really feeling. It's just constant, ongoing. It's just very, very painful indeed. And we're hearing as well recently is that they bidded 6 billion Qatar, or shall we say Sheikh Jassim, and it's saying what he is hoping for is that it will get accepted, but the only way it wouldn't is if, for instance, they want to have that minority stake in Manchester United. And I think for me, is if we was to keep them even as a minority, I think it will just cause a whole lot of chaos in terms of that Manchester United fan base. And either way, as much as us ourselves don't like it, the Glazers are winning either way. If they're going to keep a minority stake or if they're going to sell it outright, they're still winning because they're still making some kind of money, aren't they, really, Griffo?
Yeah, and I think I've seen a lot of people, rightfully so, sort of talk bad about Ratcliffe with what he's done, but on a business side of it, it's genius. I think he knew that he probably couldn't compete with Jassim in terms of the money, so he decided that he'd try another way of getting hold of Man United, and that's by allowing the Glazers to stay. So, on that regard, it's a genius business proposal from him. However, that's not what the fans want, and as you say, the Glazers sort of win either way. They've sort of milked it, and don't get us wrong, they're selling what they valued at 6 billion asset. That's going to take time, and they're just not like just going to sell it on eBay, are they? So I think they can come. It will be tough for Sheikh Jassim to win, I think, because I think the Glazers just want to still have that, and seeing the success they have United have had on the pitch this season, of course, with the League Cup and the top four. I think the Glazers probably just been lured back in. I will never know whether the Glazers intended to sell. I think it's a very clever point that Eddie told us about with that, was it strategic investment or something, the way that they worded it. They haven't just plucked those words out of thin air. They've put them there for a reason. So whether they wanted to sell from the get-go or whether they didn't, we don't know. But yeah, as you say, Maisy, they're going to win either way. Hopefully, though, it's the one final win for Jarvis has just joined us there. Welcome, Jarvis. Hopefully that we can just say this is the last win for the Glazers in terms of their business, and they can go and do whatever they want with the money, go into cricket if they want, like they were flirting with, continue with American football. I'm not sure how that's going, but just away from Man United, I think, is what everybody wants.
Yeah, can I just ask real quickly, like who do you favour? Who do you think is going to actually get the club? And also, if like Sir Jim gets it, do you see much changing? Because obviously the Glazers are still going to have like the more voting power to do what they want, even with less shares.
It's an interesting
So,
one, isn't it, really?
yeah.
I think for me, it's all dependent. I think the Glazers are going to probably weigh up each option for me and go, which one are they going to profit from the most? What are they going to make more money by this? If, for instance, 4 billion from Jim Ratcliffe, and then they'll make so much revenue from Manchester United later come, or is that 7 billion going to be more beneficial from Sheikh Jassim? I think for me, they're going to probably weigh up each option. And we do know if they was to stay there at Manchester United, we've seen this season the amount of the profits from each sponsor that Man United's had has gone down and down. We've seen that with TeamViewer, which is why they want to leave us. We've seen the same with the shirt, the sleeve sponsor. I'm literally trying to think off the top of my head who the sleeve sponsor is. And Adidas, they've lost money as well from the Manchester United point of view. So, would they make up the amount of money if they was to stay, for instance, 2 more years at Manchester United? So I think they're going to probably try and weigh it up and then probably make a decision for themselves. I don't know what everyone else thinks, so bear in mind.
I think it just falls down. Go on, Eddie, you go.
I was just going to say, even though you're saying like, the sponsors are not really trying to invest as much as before, it just seems like that deficit's going to be made up by, the investment from Sir Jim. And then the Glazers are just, because they like hiding behind, managers, the other parts of the structure. It just seems like, they're going to take that money from Sir Jim and just be like puppeteers. Like they're puppeteers anyway. They're just going to have Sir Jim as like that kind of guy in front, that fall guy, even if things go wrong. Like in terms of changes, maybe we might get like, the new stadium or stadium improvements with that money, and then that's it. It's like they'll do one gesture and then things won't change. So I see them staying because, like, remember, what was it? It was Joel Glazer was supposed to be chairing the Super League. Like, there's still that kind of idea in the air. So they could see potential cash from that in the future. So I think Sir Jim's taken over, guys.
That's a worrying thing as well, because FSG also, who are a big part of that Super League, sort of flirted with the idea of selling Liverpool and then thought, actually, no, we want to keep Liverpool. So is there something on the horizon that, the Glazers and FSG know about that's why they want to stay at the club for the time being? Who knows? Hopefully not, because the Super League absolutely was just complete and utter crap. But let's just hope that I'm wrong on that one.
Hopefully, man.
What's your thoughts as well there, Jarvis?
Yeah, they talk, the sales process, it's taking way too long. I agree with Eddie. It should just be like a auction, bid 1 million up, raise my hand. So, but basically it's not, there's two different kind of structure of the bids. So we have the Ineos who has have the 51% or the 69%, whatever we choose. And Eddie was covering a point there with the voting B shares and A shares. The B shares, they give 10 times as much votes in the board. So and they can only be owned by the Glazers. So that's the terms of the shares. So when they sell them, if they sell, so Ineos gets 50.1 or 51%. Who will have the majority in the board? It will basically be almost 50-50, even if the Glazers just are left with 20 or something percent. So we don't know all the details of it yet. So for me, it's a very scary way to think of if the Glazers still have the power. We don't want that. We want the Glazers out. So for me, there's only one bidder that's serious, and that's Sheikh Jassim and the 9-2 Foundation. Let's hope they will get the bid in. The latest rumors say their bid is about 6 billion pounds. So it should be enough. It's way over market value. Market value at the best when the stock the price was at the highest, it was 4.2 billion. So they will still make a lot of money. But
so Jarvis, just real quickly then. So you said it's going to be 50-50 then if Sir Jim comes in, because I understood it was going to be like Glazers still have just the extra bit of voting power to make the decisions. Like if say so if it's 50-50, what if they disagree then? The Glazers disagree with Sir Jim. Like how would things get sorted
Would
then?
that go to the 20% though? If both of them disagreed?
Yeah, it's. I don't know all the details. I just heard Mick Ruby talk about it, and he's concerned. He talks about like 50-50 in the board if the Glazers stay. So I don't know all the details. Maybe it's a little bit majority for Ineos, but they have to buy out the other shareholders too. The last 29% or what's left. So we don't know how it will end. To be fair, yeah.
I wanted to highlight this comment as well. Go for the 50-1 model, because we've seen it in different leagues. I think it was Bayern Munich or one who's got this kind of model, and it works for them. But I don't know whether, for me, if it really works in the Premier League. I wanted to get your thoughts on it first, Edda.
Yeah, I mean, I remember discussing this on another stream. It's like there doesn't seem to be like the structure for it like in the Premier League. So I don't know if something could be worked out. Yeah, if like Man United could like get in some advisors from a league that's familiar with it. German league maybe, because like how we got Ralph to be like you should have been an advisor or consultant. That didn't go through, but it's like you could get some consultants to come in and show how that structure could be implemented. It would be messy, and this is the thing. It would like kind of maybe take away from like this transfer strategy we're trying to do. It's like all these structural things need to be put in place. So I don't know. I don't think it's realistic to have that at this point. With the mess that Man United's in, it just seems too messy to try and do that. It doesn't seem like there's enough time to be set aside to like restructure that because that's going to take a long time, isn't it, to restructure that kind of thing. So yeah, I don't see it happening.
Mm-hmm. And I remember like when people are saying about fan owned as well, I was thinking I could never have Man United fan owned. I think it'd probably be more messy than this current bidding war at the moment. With everyone disagrees with something in this fan base. Like we see all these transfer updates. People don't want this player but want this player. We would be always in square one, wouldn't we?
Yeah, everyone's got their favorites. It's like we've been doing the player FC for a few seasons. It would be a mess if fans were in control. We need a proper leader.
It would be really reactionary as well. Coming off of yesterday, people would start Brandon Williams because he posted a few Instagram stories. So yeah, I don't think fan ownership is going to be an option at all. And if it was, it would be a very messy one, like you said. United don't really agree on anything. As Eddie said, it would be Martial FC wanting him to captain the team and be the only man up front who can score all the goals. Then you'd have, I was going to say Maguire FC, but I don't think there is such thing.
There is a Maguire FC. I can guarantee you there is a Maguire FC.
Yeah, there's a few guys that will die on that Maguire hill. Amondi, I think he was supposed to be coming on. I don't know why he's not come on, but he loves Maguire, so he would be supporting him.
I think it's important to remember it's fan owned, not Twitter fans owned. It's like different.
You think there'll be a difference though? I mean, we're all fans, we're all reactionary, we all have our emotions. There'll still be a mess, Jarvis, I think.
It would be a mess for sure. It's good that you've slightly touched on about the Brandon Williams tweets, because I actually not tweets, they're Instagram stories, aren't they? It was pretty funny because that got more publicity on Twitter than it did the treble. Like, let's be honest, like it kicked off more than the treble. Like, Man City thought there was creating history. Nah, it's Brandon Williams. He's creating some more history in. What's your thoughts on it, Jarvis, on what he was saying?
I don't know if I can take it serious. He has problems with his spelling and stuff like that. I'm not sure if it's just banter or if it was his nephew who stole his phone and posted that Twitter.
he could have been drunk, Jarvis, maybe.
Yeah.
That's the likely option, I'd say.
That honestly made me giggle. Honestly, I was reading it last night in bed. And I was thinking, "What the hell is this guy going on about?" And then I seen him like in a pool. I was like, "Nah, he's drunk on like some booger or something."
It started
Can
off
you
just
remind us
quietly,
of the
but-
tweet like properly, like because I'm kind of remembering like maybe fragments, but I need to like
Well,
Okay.
properly hear it again.
I
Did
will
he
get.
start off by saying sloppy seconds in reference to Man City? And then just decided he'd go off on Rio Ferdinand for an apparent reason. Just he mustn't have been thinking very straight. I mean, it was funny. It gave us a bit of laughter during a period of very disappointment, considering those lot won. But yeah, I think looking back, he might regret that. Who knows?
I've got all the tweets up here. Well, the Instagram story. If you want me to tell you every single one for you, Edda.
Just go for like maybe a main one. Just to refresh.
Nobody wants sloppy seconds. At Rio Ferdinand, bet you don't congratulate if you as a player keep the morals, two-faced are boring. You don't praise simple ass fakes for the money. Attention on this when celebrating, drawn, nibble. So our footballer speaks out and the world loves it. Get me on a podcast.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, like Griffin was saying, it's like there's certain things you just can't take it seriously. I mean, if he was a player that was playing and he actually made a lot of sense in what he's saying, and was talking about our aspiration to like come back and like be challenging City, it'd be good. But yeah, maybe that's just good for banter, innit, to add levity for the moment. But it's like he's not even been playing. It's like, is he going to come back? We've got that left back position sorted out. Got a lot of competition for right backs. It's like it's the wrong player to be hearing from to take him serious, isn't it?
I'm glad that he sort of posted it because it just reminded me that he still plays for Man United. To be honest, I sort of forgot that he was still a United player. It's sort of like, obviously City players will never do it, but it's like, I don't know, Scott Carson or someone going on Instagram and just posting that. So yeah,
or like a Calvin Phillips. Like, can you imagine Calvin Phillips? Do you think he's really happy with being part of that treble team? Like, I don't think he should have even got a medal. Like, he literally has not played like any proper games, has he? So yeah, it's like
they've got that left back as well, haven't they? That Sergio Gomez guy that they signed, and it was going to be, oh, this is the left back, and this is the replacement for Cancelo. And then they've played Ake at left back mainly, and they played, I think, Akanji there and all sorts. So yeah, he's another player like Calvin Phillips that sort of just played an odd game here and there and sort of rode the wave.
Yeah, so we can't really take fringe players seriously. But I mean, big up to Brandon Williams for the jokes. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, to be fair. Like, it was a really nice banter to see. We did see as well some updates regarding the current ownership situation. What got announced. 9-2 Foundation are certainly more positive following their improved fifth offer and self-imposed Friday deadline, but they won't engage further on financials. Enos sources refer to positive outgoing dialogues that are cautiously optimistic. I thought we've been hearing as well, none of them are really prioritised. Like, I just think for me, it's a bit of a lie. Clearly, there is someone who's more prioritised than the other, because surely the Glazers are going to look at two bits and think, I prefer this one over this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like
there's
it's Groundhog Day. I swear the tweets that come out, we hear it every 3 days that, oh, there's a preferred bidder. Oh, wait, no, there's not a preferred bidder. It literally feels like Groundhog Day. If anyone's seen that film, you just live in the same day over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's been like. There's other things where it's just been dragged out. We're dragged out FC. You know what I mean? There's like, we do it with transfers where we just drag it out. We're just like remembering what we did with De Jong. Like, the amount of news we heard back and forth for that was just insane. Like, I was getting ready to quit as a fan, to be honest. Like, this is why we need a proper structural change that can like make things efficient. But going back to like a little thing you were saying, Maisy, it's like, of course, there's going to be like preferred bidders, yeah, for sure. Because like, even just look at it on a personal level, there's going to be like, when you meet new people, you tend to get like a sense of whether your personalities click, whether you like them on an emotional level. So I can understand how they want to keep it you know, not disclose too much, right? But it's like, can you just hurry up though? Like, I know you want. There's people that sign the NDAs and not non-disclosure, all that. It's like, just hurry up though, hurry up. That's what I'm saying.
Berber has made me laugh here. This ownership race makes less sense than Brandon Williams English.
Yeah, big up to Berber.
What a guy.
Oh, that was literally probably one of my favourite comments in the chat so far. Like, I feel like I'm gonna get a tear eventually from that.
Yeah, you know what, guys? I'm just happy that we've had this season on the pitch where we've improved, right? Because we could have been called like maybe the new Banter FC. Because last season that was, you know what I mean? It was like we weren't even playing good football, and it was just like a mess with the structure and everything. But at least now we got the manager, we got one cog. It's a big cog that's making the machine work to a certain extent. We didn't expect to win the cup, so yeah, it's like at least we've got, you know, a good manager. That's what I'm taking from what's going on right now. So hopefully all the other circus stuff is sorted soon.
Absolutely, I really, really do hope so. And looking at the current situation as well, it's just affected the transfers at this moment in time. Like, I know I've been hearing stuff like, oh, Sheikh Jassim said if he was to buy Man United, like he'll put towards this transfer window if he was to buy it. And I think it's getting to the point, like, you see so much stuff on social media. I genuinely don't know what's true and what's false, especially when you're hearing, like, for instance, Avram Grant, who decides I'll come to Wembley to support the final when I don't even know when Cristiano Ronaldo's age when he first joined Man United, but I'll still come to Wembley. Like,
Did you say Avram Grant or
Avram Glazer.
Avram Glazer? Yeah, I thought I heard Grant.
By accident. That was just me. Like, I'm having like one of these, like, how can I say, flusters because of the heat and then the rain.
It's hot.
Yeah, I'm.
It's hot in England. What is it, like? Maybe 20 something degrees? Because I'm sweating in my room right now. Like, I want to have my shirt off, but I don't want to scare the ladies though.
Bring out the guns.
Yeah, I got them right there. A little bit. Can you see?
Oh, here we go.
A little bit. Okay, let's get back to the show.
I can see trying to make a bit of a dating profile here. But yeah, it's just, it is to the point I don't know what I really believe anymore. All I could just think of, I can't wait for these Glazers to leave. I really just cannot wait for them to leave.
Maisy, what's important to remember on this sale? The Glazers don't have to sell. They are just waiting for the highest bid. So in worst case scenario, they will stay and we will be stuck with them for 10 more years. So it's very important to remember. And a lot of speculation says that the Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he eats at the same table as the Glazers in the rich man's club in Davos. And this is all just a game from their side to up the bid to make the Glazers get a super bid from the Qataris because they are the ones with the cash. So
yeah, Jarvis, can I ask you what do you see happening though?
Yeah, it's very, very hard to know what to believe at the moment. When if it's true and Ratcliffe is in cahoots with the Glazers, and they're just trying to get the bid as high as possible. Who knows? Because I don't think the Qataris and Sheikh Jassim will be taken for fools. So in worst case scenario, they will just drop out and say, "Fuck this! Sorry about swearing. We don't want to do this anymore."
I think we passed the watershed, aren't we?
And we're back to Jim, who basically have no money. Ineos have no money. He has assets of 60 billion pounds in Ineos, but he don't have cash. He has no liquidity, so he can't buy the club by himself. That's why he tried to buy 50% or 50.1%. So you got to be careful, because if this circus move goes too far, the Sheikh Jassim will just say F it.
I'm surprised he hasn't done it yet, though. Like, and that's why I said at the beginning of the show, the worst thing he could have done was to say, right, fine, like, I'll still keep a bid, but the deadline doesn't really necessarily matter now about my bid. I'll just keep it there, but I'm not going to bid anymore. I think if he kept that deadline to say, right, I'm keeping this money here till Friday. If you're not going to accept it, I'm out of here. I think that could have really potentially put the Glazers a bit of a kick in the bottom.
Yeah, but you gotta know, Mister. You know that there's no in a business transaction like this. There's no final bid. That's the problem. Goldbridge always used the analogy. Says how long is a piece of string, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying, Jarvis, we could be locked in this bidding for like that for the summer transfer window, and then we don't sign anyone?
Yeah, in worst case scenario. But as we speak at the moment, the rumor says that we have an overdraft of 200 million, so we have money. We just maxing the credit card. So if we're lucky, we can buy players for 200 million.
That's the last thing we need. Is more debt. We don't need more debt though. We don't need to be maxing out credit cards, debit cards, or borrowing from like Wonga loans. I don't know if Wonga loans is still up. Can you imagine the interest on the debt with that? Yeah.
And when it comes to sales, it's very important to remember it's not net spent. Nothing is called net spend. So if we sell Maguire for 60 million, we won't get 60 million. We will get maybe 70% of that to buy new players. The only player who will get 100%, that's the academy players. So we will get the full score for McTominay, Henderson, and a couple of the other guys, but not all of them. So we have to sell a lot of players this window to even have money to buy anyone.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what, Jarvis? You have literally made me feel upset now when you said that we could not buy any more worst case scenario.
Yeah. I'm a little depressed. I'm a little depressed right now.
But this is why it's important to keep the pressure on the Glazers. Keep protesting. Stop buying merch. Don't give them anything, because they are just hanging in there right now. Because the thing is, they have a lot of debt, and the interest rates are going up, and the banks are going down. You saw the Bank of Silicon Valley going bankrupt and other stuff like that. So the banks want their money. That's the problem for the Glazers.
Guys, can you imagine we're having to rename our stadium? Yeah, we have to have a bank buy stocks in the stadium or whatever, and then we have to rename it to the NatWest Old Trafford Stadium, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because remember Barcelona, they had to sell off assets. They're calling the new camp the Spotify new camp. That just sounds wrong.
At the time, I went to the new camp this year as well, and I see Spotify new camp. Before Spotify new camp, when did this happen?
Yeah.
But you see the same though with Brighton, the Amex Stadium.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I like because we're like a prestigious club. It's like we should keep those authentic names. Yeah, because we should. If it wasn't for the Glazers, we would have so much revenue where we'd have our credit in the black, right? That's the term. We'd be in a positive place where we don't need to sell off assets and stuff. Brighton can do it. Cool. Who's Brighton? I know. Okay, they're doing well this season, but they're not. They don't compare to us with legacy. We should be keeping our authentic names to our assets. I can't imagine renaming the stadium. Come on, Old Trafford being renamed. Come on, guys, we can't have it.
I think we should do a fun little game in the chat to see who can come up with the worst name for Old Trafford for a sponsorship.
Yes, let's do that. I'm not going to put Massey's name on though. But get your thoughts in. What you're going to call Old Trafford the most cringiest, horriblest names. And we've already got
go on. I don't know. So it just came to me. I don't know if they'd even have enough cash, but I was just thinking about OnlyFans Old Trafford because of because you can see the assonance. You know how the alliteration. That's what I mean. There's it kind of flows. OnlyFans Old Trafford. Nah, but that would be mad still.
I think at that point you just have to go. Yeah, no, I'm walking away from this.
We're trying to come up with worse names, right? That's one of the worst I can think of.
Yeah, that's bottom of the barrel.
Old Trafford.
Old Trafford.
The Netto Stadium. Theatre of Custard Creams.
Custard creams. I love custard creams, by the way, but we'd be banter FC if that happened, man.
Oh my God, Jarvis!
But Yo, Jarvis, why are you trolling, bro?
He's come up with the best one there. Yeah.
That's a good one. Oh, Mick Trafford.
This one here, Leaky Trafford.
Oh, shit.
Probably the most apt. Yeah.
Slabhead Arena from David.
These are not even sponsors now. It's just just taking the piss now.
Young Trafford. Yeah. And there's another one. Oh my goodness.
Oh my good God.
Shaky Trafford. Oh my God.
Wait, I don't get the Anosol one. Can someone explain that one? Berber, can you explain?
Do that one.
It doesn't sound good, but I want to know what it is.
Oh, Qatarford.
Qatarford.
I mean, if we're getting the Qataris in.
Duralex. Team Viewer Trafford. Tesla Trafford.
We've derailed the show.
Trafford Jam. I've heard enough for a century now.
You know what? I like the sound of Tesla Trafford though, because you know what I mean. It's got the two T's in there. Tesla Trafford. It kind of rolls off the tongue. And Tesla's got money. I might be reconsidering my previous statement about changing the name. As long as we're getting the money in it, like that's the main thing, isn't it? As well.
But then we'll have to negotiate with Elon Musk.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not really a football fan, is he? I'm not sure. It's like we need football fans that have money to be investing, don't we? So we get a proper structure.
I never forgive him for trolling us when he said he was going to buy United and then he just took it back the day after.
Is it?
Yeah.
Can you imagine Elon Musk on Twitter? Like, remember when he put that poll out about whether he should step down as CEO? He just sends a poll out saying, "Should I sell Harry Maguire or something?"
That'd be such a circus, man. I mean, I can see why Elon Musk just did that kind of thing for a day. Like, can you imagine how many new followers he got, or new kind of exposure? That's what people are doing, aren't they? Just getting exposure off Man United.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. We'll go on to the latest transfers because this was another one. What people was not happy with today is yesterday, Jordan Pickford to Manchester United. I've got no words at this point with Jordan Pickford. Why? Like, a lot of people are hating on David De Gea. I've got my reasons why I'm not a fan of David De Gea, but to get a goalkeeper who's worse than him, how's that going to really upgrade us? Seriously, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Griffo.
Yeah, it's sort of like you sort of kind of guessed that Man United were going to sort of leak something and something was going to come out after the Man City Champions League win. People were expecting it to be takeover news. I don't think anybody was sort of expecting it to be we're in for Jordan Pickford. That was that went down like a lead balloon. Look, I don't think Jordan Pickford's the worst goalkeeper. For England, I don't have a problem with him. I think for England, he does well. My issue is if we want to sign Jordan Pickford, why don't we just keep Dean Henderson? Because, Henderson might want to leave, but I don't see much difference between Pickford and Henderson. So why would we get rid of Henderson to get in Pickford? Is Pickford going to come in to be number one? I don't know. It's all the goalkeeper situation is a complete mess, as we know. I think David De Gea obviously has some massive pros to him, has a lot of cons, saves us in games, costs us games. I think we need a new goalkeeper. I think that's my personal view. I think you can see rumours about Diego Costa. I saw Tottenham heavily linked with David Raya from Brentford. So I just think Jordan Pickford is not the one. No problem with Pickford. I think for an Everton and for England, he's good. But for Man United and where we need to be, I just don't think Jordan Pickford's the right one.
To be honest, I think for Pickford, I think he's got a poor defence in front of him. Don't get me wrong, and that plays a massive contribution. And you see in there last season, like Manchester United didn't play very well because we had a poor defence in front of David De Gea, and I think when you've got a poor defence in front of you, it puts a lot more pressure onto the goalkeeper, and you can see a massive difference with Jordan Pickford. And but the thing is, you're looking at it like, how have we gone from Diogo Costa 48 hours ago to go into Jordan Pickford? Like, where has that sprung from, first of all? Myself, I know a lot of people are going to say no as well, but a lot of people, I wanted David Raya, and I said, he's got his final year of his contract. I would happily take the risk on him for 40 million. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I think for me, he does have them fantastic qualities to be a Manchester United goalkeeper. And it's just, I just think for me is, when you're looking at a goalkeeper, you need to look at the likes of Ederson, Alisson in the Premier League, how they've changed the Premier League, and you need someone who's going to compete with them.
Yeah, Maisy. I was just going to say that we've got to look at, like, what profile of keeper that Ten Hag is going for. It's like, we've not mentioned, is Pickford good with his feet? Like, I don't think he's regarded for playmaking from the back. Playing the ball to his defenders to build from the back. Like Sean Dyche, right? Is the manager at Everton, right? I don't remember them building up from the back with that kind of, manipulating the ball and doing that kind of thing. I think, like, maybe it's like, if we're trying to fill the English quota or something like that. I can't see why we're trying to get Pickford. I think it must be hype. I can't see it.
I can't see. I don't think it is because of the English quote. Because if we, for example, we was going to get rid of like Maguire, and then we went and got Mason Mount, for instance, that's going to fill up that quota then. So I just think for me is they're probably looking at Jordan Pickford and think that's actually not a bad deal, because an England number one is not going to want to play in the Championship. He's going to lose his spot. So he's going to look at that and think, right, I want to come back into the Premier League. They might get him a little bit more cheaper. But you can't just look at the fact is that you're going to get him cheaper. Is he going to suit Erik Ten Hag? Is he going to suit the back line? Is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? I know what people are mentioning Costa in the chat. I'm not a massive fan of Costa, if you want me to be fairly honest. I think for me is I'm one of them type of people where I like my goalkeeper to be fearless. When you're up on a one-on-one, when you're up on a penalty, and you've got a corner, you want your goalkeeper to be fearless and think, you're not getting him in the back of my net. If you get in the back of my net, I'm going to have a bit of a problem with you. Like, I want one of them type of goalkeepers. And as much as Diogo Costa is very, very young, I understand that. I just don't think he has that. I don't think he's very fearless. I think he's a bit shaky when it comes to his one-on-ones. I think he's got some great distribution, but I don't think he's all that with his shot stopping. I think his penalties, is in terms of saving, is one of the best in the world. I will hold my hands up and say that. But I want something more than just penalty conversion rate.
Yeah, Maisy, when it comes to rumors like Pickford, we got to remember one of the first things Ten Hag did when he came as manager, he plugged all the leaks. So basically, the press, the journalists, the newspapers, they don't know anything at the moment. Ten Hag, he keeps it sealed. So I think the Pickford is just mumbo jumbo. So and I don't want Pickford. He's not the one we're looking for. Okay, he's better with his feet than De Gea. He has especially his long range passing is extremely good. In that sense, he's one of the best. He can ping the ball 60 meters and right on the chest of his man. So he don't have any problem with that. So in that regard, Pickford is a good goalkeeper. He's also demanding. What I miss from him is he's not too big, so he can't collect all the crosses. I want a more commanding goalkeeper, one who can collect the crosses, and I don't think Pickford is the one. Costa is a good shout. Personally, I would like Raya, who's now linked with the Spurs. He could be a good choice for us. And of course, we saw the Champions League final. Onana, what a goalkeeper! He could really,
Jarvis, real quickly, I really wanted this player, yeah, but I was just on Sophia's stream, Sophia's football talk, and she was saying that Chelsea is the main team linked with him, and apparently Ten Hag fell out with Onana in previous times, so it's like he looks like he's off limits. So that depressed me as well, because yeah, the way he showed up in that final, the way he was playing the ball, you see how forceful he was. You see, at one point when he was pushing Haaland in his back, like just commanding his area, like he doesn't take any shit. Like that's the kind of like Maisy was saying, we need someone that's commanding their area. You know, like a guard dog, just like pushing everyone out of the way. You know, commanding. But yeah, we need someone like Onana. Yeah.
Yeah, courage is the key word for a goalkeeper. You need to have courage, and that's what we miss from De Gea. You know, he looks kind of spineless sometimes, especially when it comes to duels. He's weak. So yeah, we would like a goalkeeper with more courage.
I think as well, something that we said about the Champions League final, I think the last 5 minutes, what we saw from Ederson was sort of like exactly what we want to see in a goalkeeper. There was a few times where he was put under pressure. Of course, last few minutes of a Champions League final, he plays the ball out comfortably, passes it and kicks it. There was a time where they had a free kick and he came nearly to the edge of his box to collect the ball and win it. And then that last, I'm not talking about the Lukaku chance that he fired it straight at Ederson. We can say it's a good save all you want. It's a terrible miss from Lukaku, in my opinion, there. But the final header from the corner that Inter had and Ederson made that great save. That's sort of what you want. That's the three main things. That's the coming for the crosses, that's the distribution, and that's the saving. And those three things were demonstrated to perfection from Ederson. Do I think Ederson's the best goalkeeper in the world? No, I don't. But I thought those three things that he demonstrated in that Champions League final is what we need for a goalkeeper in United. Who that is, I don't know. That's why we need some scouting. That's why we need to improve the scouting to find this goalkeeper. You know, I can't really remember who Ederson played for before Man City. I think it might have been Porto or someone like that. But he wasn't a big name until he came to Manchester City. Same with Alisson. He came from Roma. You know, he was all right for Roma. He was a good goalkeeper, but he wasn't on at all the level he is now at Liverpool, and he's considered to be one of the best goalkeeper in the world. So we need scouting. We need that talent ID to go out and get a goalkeeper that we might not know about.
There was a comment here in the chat about Donnarumma not being a bad goalkeeper. Would you take Donnarumma, Griffo?
Yeah, it's all about whether you prize him out of PSG. Yeah, he's a really good goalkeeper. He's got a massive frame. He's a tall goalkeeper, so penalties are good for him. He's a really good goalkeeper. He's probably top 5 goalkeepers, maybe top 3 in the world. So yeah, of course, I'd take him. And he's young, so he's got plenty of time to develop further and hit his prime years at Man United. So I think it would be a good signing. But of course, it's all about whether you can prize him out of PSG. Obviously, there's a few things happening with PSG at the moment. You're not quite sure what's going on there. So I think it's going to be an interesting one.
Rabbi has said here what's very good in the chat. Keepers and players come at a price. It's down to the club how much the value is spending on him. I know another one who's linked is Kolo Monday. I haven't watched much of him, so I'm gonna let you three talk about him.
I've not heard of this player, so Jarvis.
Griffo, you want to talk about him?
Say again. Sorry.
Kolo Monday. Have you watched much of him at all?
Koulibaly.
Yeah.
Frankfurt.
Oh, I thought you said someone else. Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, go on, Jarvis. Anyway.
Yeah, Koulibaly. Yeah, he's a great striker. He's not a goal-scoring striker. He doesn't score all the goals by himself. But he's like a I would say a link-up striker who likes to assist. He's really good with his back against the goal and squaring the pass and get people involved. So Koulibaly, I think he will suit us perfectly.
I haven't seen much of him, to be fair. I think I saw him briefly in the World Cup. I think that was really my first proper introduction about him. Didn't do much that amazed me. I don't think he's a player that we should be signing for first team. But if he's a player that wants to come in and sort of be that rotating bench option that can impact games, then I'm sure that will be beneficial for Man United. But in terms of the starting player, I've seen not enough of him to make a proper judgment, of course. But from what I have seen, I wouldn't say that.
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't watched much of him, so I can't really say what to say. What's your thoughts, Eddie?
Yeah, I misheard you when you said it the first time, but yeah, Mawani, I've seen some highlights. Like I like the strength in his running, but yeah, we're looking for like that number 9 that will play through the middle. We'll have like that skill set really drilled into him. It's like we don't need, because we've been having like Rashford's done all right, and he's more of a wing forward, but we can see there's certain things that he does lack in terms of I don't know. Yeah, there's certain things he does like. He's not like the finished article. Yeah, and it just seems like Mawani will be that kind of player where he's more of a winger than like a proper target man number 9. We need that target man. Like an Osimhen. That kind of guy that's just drilled in knowing how to play through the middle and just has that discipline. So yeah, Mawani, if we're trying to go for a wing forward, he'd be good, but not for like a main number 9 for me.
There was Stia said here that he would say Ivan Toney, but I think the only thing got like Ivan Toney down is the current situation, with the betting scandal. I think otherwise he would have been a fantastic addition. I think for me, the one who I would probably prefer based off this squad overall will probably have to be Harry Kane, just because of the way how the wingers are set up. Is they both of them tend to cut in and want to shoot from long distance, and I just don't think you're looking at other strikers who's linked to Man United. Like you're looking at Osimhen, you're looking at, I've not seen much of the Atalanta kid, I can't really say too much, but you're looking at, even if you're looking at the likes of Erling Haaland, I know we're not going to get it, but these are type of players who need to have the service. And I think if you're going to have to get a striker, you need a striker who's able to provide for themselves. And I think there's no one any better in the world right now than Harry Kane for feeding for himself as a striker.
Yeah, let me just say real quick, yeah, and it may be a wild take. We're all fans, we're all got like a different opinions, yeah, but with Kane slowing down, I know we got 30 goals in that 8th place disgrace of a team, but it's like he could be used as like a false 9. Like if Ten Hag was to like reconsider like going with the whole target 9, because remember how Liverpool, when they had their prime and they had like the wing forwards, yeah, playing off of Firmino as the false 9, like it was Mane and Salah. You see how they were cooking the link-up play. Like even Firmino still got goals in the false 9 as well. And like if we look at Kane, Kane's got great link-up play. He gets assists. He knows how to play, mate. He's got them long shots as well, so he will get goals from a false 9 position. Yeah, and we've got players that love to shoot. Like Rashford, loves to shoot. He plays wing forward. Anthony loves to cut in and shoot. Plays wing forward. We could actually play to their strengths with Kane behind them. So yeah, Kane could be a possibility if we use him like that. It's just in my opinion.
Kane's the ideal one for me, especially. I think you touched it with assists and goal scoring as well. He's the perfect. Obviously, you're going to have to pay shed loads for him, and of course, his age is a slight concern. Of course, also is prize him out at Tottenham. But I think what he brings, you said slowing down, considering he scored 30 goals in one of the worst teams in the league, is if that's slowing down, then sign him up, I'd say. But yeah,
that's down in terms of like the running.
Oh, so, yeah. I think maybe that's a concern.
Less running, more link up. That's what I meant.
Yeah. I think we will have to change the way we play. Marcus Rashford, of course, as you say, likes to shoot ridiculous angles, and so is Anthony. We don't really have any proper wingers that are focused on creating chances. They more or less go for the shot, don't they? So I think we will have to change the way we play, especially in that final third if we sign somebody like Harry Kane. But the beauty of a Kane is he can create chances for himself. He is that good, and I think, obviously Erling Haaland's probably the best striker in the world. I think Harry Kane comes in a second or a third for me. I think he is that good. He's doing this in a limited Tottenham side. What else can he do for a team that is actually, challenging for stuff, which hopefully we will be in the coming seasons?
Absolutely, I completely agree with that. And Ravi's got a good question in the chat. What is an Erik ten Hag style type player? I wanted to get your thoughts on that first, Jarvis, and what you think that is.
On Harry Kane?
What is an Erik ten Hag style type player?
Well, he has had two different kind of strikers when he played in Ajax. First, he had Dusan Tadic, who was more of I would say a forward, deep lying forward. He was moving a lot on the front line, playing both left, right, and center. So, but when he played with Haller, he was more of a striker who was in the middle and binding up the two center backs on the opposite team. I am not sure exactly what Ten Hag wants. It depends on the other players. I think he's quite pragmatic in the way he wants to attack. I don't think he needs a striker who is as tall as Haller, because we hardly ever cross. We like to just play through and through the other side and shift play again. So I think Kane can suit us well, but I think also Højlund can suit us well. I think Koulibaly can suit us well. So I think we have a lot of options this window, and I'm not sure if Ten Hag is set on one specific type of striker. I think he can be more pragmatic and evolve his game.
Yeah, can I just say, like, in terms of the overall style as well, it's like we've seen how Ten Hag has adapted to this league. Like, it's because we heard that it's meant to be like just like possession, that high press, counter press. Obviously, it's going to take him time if he was to stay with what he wants to do. If he wants to do the possession thing, it's going to take time to calibrate that with the right players to get in. But it's like if we're linked to like Mount and Rabiot, it's like I can't see him sticking to what we've had as the idealistic Ten Hag system, because they're not possession players, are they? Especially Rabiot, pragmatic. Mount is more of like running off the ball. It's like kind of maybe like a Bruno player. It's like I hope Ten Hag keeps his integrity to do the possession, counter press, high press, and like manipulating the ball. Playing 1-2s. Like we see Man City and Arsenal. All these guys that do high press, they like to do that intricate play. So hopefully that's Ten Hag's profile of the system that we carry on with.
There needs to be a meeting in the middle, doesn't there? In terms of his style and the players we have, it needs to meet in the middle. You're not going to get 100% Erik ten Hag style. You're not going to get 100% the style that suits our players. You're going to have to meet somewhere in the middle, and I think hopefully we can with Ten Hag.
The thing is with modern football, football has evolved the last 5 years, and the game is more fluent. You have never seen a game as fluent as it is now. The fullbacks play central midfielders. The central midfielders play strikers, or they play left backs, and the centre backs play midfielders. So everything is shifting. It's very fluent, and for us to play the modern style and the fluent style, I think Ten Hag wants to play. I think one of the key elements for a striker is mobility. He needs to be mobile, so he can shift play, because Rashford can come from the left and go inside, and then they have to change places. So for me, maybe that's one of the attributes Ten Hag is looking for, is basically mobility.
I think if you're going to look at comparing both Erik ten Hag's teams that he had at Ajax, I think he's going to go more towards the second team round, because you're looking at the 2 10s in the pivot as a lone defensive midfielder. You're having centre backs who can play as full backs, and I think that's the way Erik ten Hag is going to want to eventually adjust with the Manchester United team, because you're looking at Luke Shaw moving into centre-back roles when he's a full-back. When Martinez, he's played as a left-back over at Ajax at time to time. You're looking at, for instance, if we was to sign Mason Mount, take Eriksen out of the team and then put Casemiro as a lone defensive midfielder and put both Mount and Bruno in that pivot role. I can see by Eddie's face. I don't know how.
Guys, I mean, we've heard other fans say it. Like, it will be a pinball machine where it's just because. Can you imagine Bruno and Mount, the way they spray the ball? It's just like they play a numbers game with trying to get assists and all that. It's like don't really see link up play from these guys. I want to see good football. I want to see good build up play. So and then Casemiro, I think Casemiro would be too isolated in there as well, unless we do go with that kind of system where a centre back is pushed into midfield then to help Casemiro. Maybe it could work with having Bruno and Mount there. If you push a Martinez from the centre back partnership to help Casemiro, because that's what Pep was doing this season. The way he's revolutionized that side to dominate in midfield. Probably could work. There's so many different things that could happen. I'll say one more thing as well. Yeah, I remember watching Ten Hag near the end of his last season with Ajax, and he tried a 4-1-2-1-2, right? And he actually played that because he had an injury to a main player, so he just kind of changed it up. But the way I saw them dominate the ball, and there was a good partnership up front with, I think it was Brobby and another player. I can't remember the other player. But I just think back to the way we struggle in front of goal with just the one striker. We've had it for seasons upon seasons, where it's the wingers want to cut in and shoot, and then the striker up front is isolated. It's I would love to see Ten Hag go back to his tactical book and say, let's go with two strikers that can link up and find a partnership as well. Come on, we're one of the lowest scorers in the top four. We need goals. We need as many attackers as we can have there that have chemistry.
Yeah, spot on there, honestly, because you're looking at, for instance, when we lost the league to City many years ago, that was all down on goal difference. As much as I don't want to pain people while I'm saying this, but goal difference is a massive contribution. You're looking at the Premier League in that top four, then the minimum goal difference is 20, 30 or plus, and then you're looking at ours with 9. It's I think for me it's more that when we have conceded, we're conceding badly. It's when you look at Liverpool, we conceded 7-0, conceded 6 against City, we concede and I just think if we're avoiding them very silly defeats, that is going to help us a lot better, as well as having that goal scorer, because we are scoring lack of goals and we're holding out on them 1-goal wins, really.
It's a good point. That is just maybe a little bit more depressed as well, just thinking about these results. It's we need to definitely cut that out, because capitulation, that just adds to PTSD, doesn't it? There's going to be certain players that's going to show up next season that's part of these, it's not even just this season. It's it's carried over from the banter season before this as well. So that's why we do need this supposed open heart surgery, as Ralph has said. There's players in there that will still have that in their subconscious, where things go wrong, capitulation. They don't listen to the manager, instructions go out the window. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the transfers.
Here's a very good question from Steve. Would you rather spend 100 million on one striker or same amount on 2? And that's a very good question. I think for me, it's dependent on the striker, on what you're having to offer. Because if they went and said to me, Gonzalo Ramos from Benfica, I wouldn't take it. Not that I think he's a bad player, but I think he needs another season there in Liga Portugal, because he's only had one proper season there. And I think a lot of his hype has come from the World Cup, because he scored that hat-trick. As you all know, I watch a lot of the Portuguese league, because I do follow Sporting quite a lot. So I just think for me, Ramos isn't a £100 million player. You're looking at, for instance, if for instance there was 2 available who was good enough for 100k, so you went and said, oh, you could get Martinez and the kid from Atalanta from 100 mil, which I very doubt you could. I'd take that.
Sorry. Can I just? Were you saying Lautaro Martinez? You
Yeah.
probably. I don't know. I don't know about Martinez. Like we saw him in that final. Like, come on. Like the way he his decision making was bad, and in the World Cup as well. It seems when the pressure's on, I don't know. He kind of tends to mess about a bit. So I don't know about Martinez, but yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Like in terms of it depends on the player. It's just the market. Like nowadays, like we know, it's just subjective value for players. So you can't even tell how much players are going to go for. So I'd prefer to get two players, like one player that has got like potential to be like a guy that grows, that Ten Hag works on, and then one that's like ready made. Like you should be able to get that for 100 million if the market made sense. You should, but yeah, that's what I prefer. I don't know what players. I'm not sure. Like maybe like an Osimhen for like 80 million, and then Ferguson maybe but I don't think Brighton would sell him for 20 million. They'd probably have a subjective value of like 50, 60 million, something ridiculous. So it's very hard. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. But yeah.
I can see what Bots is doing, naming front three of Paulinho, Edwards, and Trincao. He's talking about the Sporting's front three of who can I say, the King of North London called Paulinho. But yeah, what would you do, Griffo? 100 mil on one player or two?
I think it's exactly what you said. I think 100 mil on Kane on one individual would be better. I'm not opposed to the two option. Obviously, we need somebody who's better than what we've got, which, let's be frank, isn't hard at the moment. Eddie said something about Osimhen. I know a lot of people are happy with Osimhen. He's a bit of an odd one for me because I think he is shone in Serie A this season with Napoli. But at the same time, Lukaku has had a good season in terms of goal scoring in Inter as well. And, in the Champions League final, we all saw what happened. So, and especially Osimhen, when he played Liverpool, I remember he didn't really set the world alight in those two group games against Liverpool. So his adaptability to the Premier League is a concern of mine. And while we can have an option of Kane, who obviously has experienced the Premier League for so long, it is
real quickly. See, like his physicality is suited for the Premier League. The way he fights for the ball, like there's a lot of times I've seen him be isolated up front, and he bullies defenders. Like, and he's quick as well. So I don't think that's something that could be like that the specimen is adaptable to the Premier League.
Yeah, he can adapt. Of course he can, but I think as well, I saw a good comment there from Devils that said, Napoli play as a team. They were a much more well-rounded team than Man United in the season. That's the one there, and he's suited to that system. While Harry Kane is sort of almost Tottenham haven't really played at all in any sort of way. He's the one that's sort of dragged him through games and got the goals. So everywhere you look, I think Kane is the big option. Obviously, the concern is the price tag, but I think I believe personally he can be the difference between not winning a title and winning a title. I know that sounds ridiculous because there's other positions to improve on, but I really do think that you saw it this season. We didn't have Weghorst didn't score a single Premier League goal. Martial was in and out of the hospital like nobody's business. So I think if you had that Kane that was there to guarantee you goals, which he does, it would have been a different story, And I think, I don't think many people had a problem with Casemiro when he came in, despite his age then. So I think, and he's been a huge difference in a position we desperately needed. And I think that's similar as Kane. And then in a season or two, you assess the market because, of course, no 2 years are the same in football transfer markets. Of course, no one knew who Evan Ferguson was from Brighton last year, and now all of a sudden he's a hot property on the market. So you assess that market in 1 or 2 years' time, and then you go and get a young striker then, or the striker who's one of the best then, and you move on. But I think right now, Harry Kane is the option that we can't afford to not get.
For me, it's it's the other way around. For me, it's okay. I agree that Kane is a great striker, and he will probably score 25 goals next season if he plays for us. That's a good thing. But we got to remember, Kane is 30 years old. 30 years old. Next season, next summer, he's 31. So how many seasons do we get out of him? Should we use 100 million on a player who will probably perform for two seasons, 3 at max? And another thing is, should we put all our eggs in one basket? Should we try and buy one player for 100 million? We have no strikers at the moment. Weghorst is leaving. Martial is always injured. We have Rashford as the plan C. So we need more strikers. And another thing, I would like younger strikers. We're not gonna challenge for the league next season anyway. So let's be realistic. Try to build the squad. Buy 2 young up and coming strikers for a reasonable price. For example, Højlund. He will suit our system perfectly. We have his one of his biggest attribute is receiving progressive passes. He's on top of the 90 percentile of the top 5 leagues in that stat. The same is Rashford, and basically Martial is also that. So if we have, for example, Mason Mount and Bruno in the midfield, pinging the ball up, we have almost 3 guys who will receive the ball. So we got to build a team. For me, it's we got to think forward. Let's go for two strikers for 50 million.
You know what? Just real quickly, I just hope, yeah, just like by some miracle, because I don't see the structure changing that much. But like maybe Murto, Fletcher, and whoever's like selling players, like has just learned how to like, I don't know, try and you know, because Greenwood may be coming back. Maybe he's somehow sold for like just millions, yeah, just to like maybe China or MLS. I don't know, yeah. We need wheelers and dealers in the structure because there's so many players in there that they're not really going to be worth much, is it? Really, like Martial, injury prone. It's like we need proper experienced people in the board to know how to sell these players because. Yeah, we can't just be like banking on just like what Jarvis said earlier about maybe it's just a 200 million, and that's just like, you know, on the credit card, like you said before. It's like we need to do sales as well. It's yeah. So I hear what Jarvis is saying in terms of two upcoming strikers, but like I would like the ideal situation where there's a ready-made player coming in and then one other player that's going to learn from him. Yeah, for 100 million, that's going to be hard to balance that. But yeah, I can see what Jarvis is saying working because Ten Hag, he knows how to coach players.
Mm. Yeah, that's basically Ten Hag's dilemma at the moment. If you have 200 million, you can't buy Osimhen because then you have splashed it all on one player. So we need to be smart in the deals this summer. But we know the Glazers usually don't do good deals. So let's see what's happened.
Absolutely, and I know there's one more link at the moment, which is Min-jae. He's supposed to had personal terms with Man United. His release clause isn't open until July, I believe. But it's currently a bidding war between, well, not a bidding war, but it's currently in the process of it's either us or Newcastle. It's basically like, which United do you want to go to? I know which United. It should be a better United, which is us, but it's all going to be dependent on who's going to really activate that release clause first, isn't it really, Griffo?
Yeah, and I think if we were being honest at the moment, if we all forget that we're Man United fans and we were a football player, what's the more exciting project? Is it Man United that has uncertainty about ownership, or is it the Newcastle that have made that dramatic jump from relegation last season to Champions League football this season, and with, you know, not unlimited, well, it feels like unlimited money coming into the club, they're only going to get better. So I think as a player, you have to look at that and think Newcastle at the moment, I don't know how we've got here, but Newcastle are seeming to be the bigger attraction. I like him in Jay, you know, from what I've seen of him. I think he's a good centre back. Raphael Varane's 30 now. I thought he was a bit older than I checked his age before the show. He's actually 30, but he is ever so slightly slowing down. He's still a terrific centre back, but he's not the same Varane that three-peated the Champions League with Real Madrid. So I think that if we bring Min-jae in, maybe at the start of the season or the first season, we don't really put him in the first team. Maybe we sort of use him as and when, and then maybe when Varane properly slows down, we can integrate Min-jae into the team if that's what he wants. Maybe that's what we want. And I think that Min-jae and Martinez as a centre-back partnership is really solid. And then you've got Lindelof, who I rate as a backup centre-back. I think Lindelof's the perfect sort of centre-back that you need to come in when there's an injury. And I think with that sort of centre-back four of Martinez, Varane, Min-jae, and Lindelof, and then if we have an injury crisis or something, maybe Luke Shaw, who really impressed me when he was drifted back to centre-back from left-back. That's sort of the last resort if we need it. But I think Min-jae is a really, really big opportunity for United. It's just how much do you spend on him when there's priority positions after him? I think the striker is probably a more priority signing. I'd argue that goalkeeper is probably an even bigger priority signing than that at the moment. Probably the midfield as well. So how far down the list is Min-jae? That's all dependent on who the ownership's going to be, and it all falls back on the ownership because we don't know who's going to be making these decisions. We don't know whether it's going to be Sheikh Jassim of Qatar. We don't know whether it's going to be Sir Jim Ratcliffe or the Glazers. So everything we've talked about here is going to fall back on the ownership.
And to flex, I actually questioned this to a Newcastle fan. Is it actually 75 mil? Because I actually did speak about this, and from what I've been hearing, apparently it was reports of the same last year, but obviously they spent a lot more last January. So I think they'll probably have a much higher budget personally, especially with the Champions League going to be in place. But I think for me with Min-jae is, if for instance we was to get rid of Maguire, there's one centre back down, and then as much as this is not going to be a big loss, Tuanzebe goes, Phil Jones is gone. That's already 3 centre backs who have already gone basically. And I just think for me it's, as much as I like Luke Shaw as that centre back, I felt like the left back position was quite limited, quite restricted when he is playing there. Yeah, I'm not that I have an issue with Malacia. I think Malacia is a great player. He's still very raw. It gives me Patrice Evra vibes, if you want me to be fairly honest. But I just think for me is at that moment, because I even see people say get a left back instead and put Luke Shaw as a centre back permanently. I just think I don't want to lose what we've got in that left back role while Luke is playing really, really well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think left back's probably the one position we don't need to strengthen in terms. I think Shaw's good. I think Malacia is a perfect second choice option. Brandon Williams, I mean, we've talked about him for non-footballing reasons, but I actually do like Brandon Williams. Is he good enough to be a starting left back for Man United? Absolutely not. But I think he can do a job as a squad player. And of course, we have Alvaro Fernandez, who's of course on loan this season. So we've got so much depth in the left back position. So I think out of all the positions, we don't need to strengthen in that left back.
What's your thoughts as well, Eddie, on Min-jae situation?
Yeah. First of all, I think I was just looking in the comments. I think my mic might be distorted. I was on a show before where it was working, so I might have to come off soon. But just to answer on Malacia, I think he's got a lot of raw talent, and he should be staying in there. He's got potential to be coached by Ten Hag. And then what were you talking about? Was it Min-jae? Who was the next person? Min-jae. I've heard good things. I've not seen him play enough, but I've heard he's like he's not even that expensive, is he? Like his release clause, it's not even that much. So it just seems like he's one of them players that can play on the ball, and that just, we know that suits the Ten Hag system. It's a no-brainer to try and get that player because people like Maguire, Phil Jones, Bailly, they're all going. So yeah, Min-jae, I'd take him in a heartbeat.
And finally, what's your thoughts as well there, Jarvis?
Yeah, Kim Min-jae, he's a great center back. I like him. The price is recently fair. His buyout clause is about 45 millions. I think we have tried to sweeten the deal and give them 52 million. So if we can do it for that price, yeah, no problem. He's one of the best center backs in the world this season. He's been performing really good for Napoli. They won the Scudetto, and he's been playing really good. One of his biggest attributes is tackling and breaking the play. He never loses a duel. He wins about 95% of them, and he goes in strong, but it's never rash like Bay and Royo Rojo, if you remember them. He always stays on his feet and never gets past. So for me, I would really like to see him. He's a ball playing center back, but not the strongest ball playing center back. He's from medium to medium plus ball playing, but his tackling is his biggest attribute. I think he will suit us well.
Absolutely, and now we've discussed the main ones. I know we touched on a little bit with Mason Mount last time, so as much as I want to talk about Mason Mount, I won't bore you everyone with the Mason Mount stories for sure. But we'll wrap it up from here. Thank you. All three of you for coming on, taking the time. Really appreciate it. Good to see all three of you again, because I know it's been a while for Griffo and Eddie, and I'm seeing a lot more of you, Jarvis, which I'm loving to see your face as always. Would you like to shout out your socials first of all, Griffo? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a good show, good interaction with the comments as ever. It's just at Charlie Griffo1 on Twitter.
Yeah,
and
can,
Eddie, you two, you next, Jarvis. Thank you again.
I'll go next. You can find me on MUFC Realist TV, and you can find me on Twitter, Bowley77, BOLE77.
Thank you very much, Jarvis. Good to see you again. And Eddie, thank you as well for coming on. Would you like to shout out your channel also?
Yeah. I just gotta say, obviously, I agree with the great job you're doing, hosting. I've done a bit of hosting before for Flying Pig. So of course, there's best wishes for Flying Pig to come back soon when he feels ready to come back. But yeah, you can find me at Eddie's Football Waffle. Obviously, I'm a Man United fan. I do reactions, try and add a bit of humor to it as well for the entertainment. So yeah, just come and subscribe. And yeah, I've had to be on my phone recently because like some of my hardware has failed. So hopefully my mic wasn't too bad for the stream, but I'll be coming back with a vengeance on future streams when I get like a new mic and everything like that. But yeah, obviously subscribe to the Flying Pig channel, hit the like and subscribe, and yeah, big up to the rest of the panel, Griffo, Jarvis, great views as well. Obviously, Maisy knows the football too. So yeah, it's been a great show, guys. And big up the chat as well.
Yeah, been a fantastic chat today, as always. Some great interactions. Thank you for giving me your Old Trafford names as well. Some very good ones in the chat, let's just say. So yeah, a great panel tonight. Thank you all as always. Sending my best wishes to Flying Pig, and I know everybody else will be also. Check out everybody's channel here, social media. You can catch me here on Devils United too. I do women's content as well as Manchester United men's content, so you can check that out through there. Thank you all very, very much. Have a lovely Sunday. Hopefully you feel a bit more recovered after that horrible treble win. But have a lovely evening all. Take care. Bye-bye.